Operations in Palmyra, 2015 to 2017. In the ancient city of Palmyra, where the ruins of a once great civilization stood as silent witnesses to the ravages of war, a brutal and high-stakes battle unfolded between 2015 and 2017. The fight for Palmyra was not just about reclaiming a UNESCO World Heritage Site from the grip of ISIS. It was a strategic campaign orchestrated by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, to safeguard its influence in Syria, project power across the region, and fortify its corridor of control from Tehran to the Mediterranean. For the IRGC, Palmyra was not just a battlefield. It was a symbol of Iran's determination to reshape the Middle East and ensure that the Assad regime remained firmly under Tehran's control. Palmyra, known for its breathtaking Roman-era ruins and its strategic location in central Syria, fell to ISIS in May 2015. The capture of Palmyra was not just a symbolic victory for ISIS. It was a strategic gain that allowed the group to control key supply routes and expand its influence deeper into Syrian territory. As ISIS rampaged through the city, destroying ancient monuments and executing prisoners in a horrific display of brutality, the IRGC recognized that allowing Palmyra to remain under ISIS control posed a direct threat to Iran's broader strategic objectives in Syria. For Iran, losing Palmyra to ISIS was unacceptable. The city's location, just 210 kilometers northeast of Damascus, made it a critical juncture that connected eastern Syria to the Syrian heartland. If ISIS consolidated its hold over Palmyra, it would jeopardize Iran's ability to maintain its vital land corridor to Lebanon, which was essential for supplying Hezbollah and projecting Iranian power into the Levant. Palmyra's proximity to key oil and gas fields also made it a valuable economic asset that Iran was determined to control. The IRGC's response was swift and calculated. Recognizing the importance of Palmyra, the IRGC mobilized a formidable coalition of Iranian-backed militias, Syrian regime forces, and Russian air power to launch a counteroffensive to reclaim the city. At the heart of this effort was the Quds Force, the IRGC's elite unit tasked with conducting operations beyond Iran's borders. General Qasem Soleimani, the mastermind behind Iran's regional strategy, took personal charge of overseeing the campaign to recapture Palmyra. The IRGC's strategy was multifaceted and ruthless. Iranian advisors embedded themselves with Syrian army units, providing tactical guidance, intelligence, and logistical support. The IRGC's extensive experience in urban warfare, gained through years of operations in Iraq and Syria, proved invaluable in crafting a strategy to dislodge ISIS from Palmyra's fortified positions. The IRGC also relied heavily on its network of Shia militias, including Hezbollah fighters from Lebanon, Afghan mercenaries from the Fatimiyun division, and Pakistani fighters from the Zainabiyun brigade. These militias, indoctrinated with Iran's revolutionary ideology and battle-hardened from years of combat, were deployed to the front lines to spearhead the ground assault. The IRGC's plan for Palmyra was executed in stages. In March 2016, after weeks of intense fighting and relentless Russian airstrikes, Syrian regime forces, backed by Iranian militias and Russian special forces, recaptured Palmyra from ISIS. The victory was hailed as a major triumph for the Assad regime and its allies, with Iranian media portraying the recapture of Palmyra as a testament to the IRGC's prowess and Iran's unwavering commitment to defending Syria from extremist threats. However, the victory was short-lived. In December 2016, as the Assad regime and its allies focused their attention on the battle for Aleppo, ISIS launched a surprise counteroffensive and recaptured Palmyra, dealing an embarrassing blow to the Syrian regime and its Iranian backers. The loss of Palmyra was a stark reminder that despite Iran's military dominance, the threat of ISIS remained a persistent and dangerous challenge. Determined to reclaim Palmyra and reassert control over the strategic city, the IRGC and its allies regrouped and prepared for a second assault. In early 2017, a coordinated offensive was launched to retake Palmyra, this time with even greater force. The IRGC played a critical role in planning and executing the operation, deploying thousands of militia fighters and coordinating with Russian air power to crush ISIS's defenses. The second battle for Palmyra was marked by ferocious urban combat and a relentless bombardment of ISIS positions. The IRGC's use of proxy forces and asymmetric tactics, combined with Russian airstrikes, overwhelmed ISIS fighters who had dug into the city's ruins. By March 2017, after weeks of heavy fighting, Palmyra was once again liberated from ISIS control. This time, the victory was decisive, and the IRGC ensured that the city would not fall into enemy hands again. For the IRGC, the recapture of Palmyra was more than just a military victory. It was a strategic masterstroke that secured Iran's interests in Syria and reinforced its corridor of influence stretching from Tehran to Beirut. The IRGC's success in Palmyra also sent a powerful message to Iran's adversaries, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United States, that Tehran's influence in Syria was unshakable and that Iran would stop at nothing to defend its interests. However, the IRGC's victory in Palmyra came at a significant cost. The battle had left the city in ruins, with much of its ancient heritage destroyed by ISIS and the subsequent fighting. The devastation wrought by the conflict further alienated local Sunni populations, deepening sectarian divides and fueling resentment against the Assad regime and its Iranian backers. The IRGC's reliance on sectarian militias to retake Palmyra also exacerbated tensions between Sunni and Shia communities, creating a volatile environment that could be exploited by extremist groups in the future. Despite these challenges, the IRGC's grip on Palmyra and the surrounding region remained firm. The city's recapture allowed Iran to fortify its presence in central Syria, giving Tehran greater control over key supply routes and energy resources. The IRGC's success in Palmyra also positioned Iran as an indispensable player in Syria's post-war reconstruction, ensuring that Tehran would have a say in shaping the country's political future. The operations in Palmyra were not just about reclaiming a city from ISIS. They were about securing Iran's long-term strategic interests in Syria and beyond. The IRGC's ability to orchestrate complex military campaigns, mobilize proxy forces, and leverage alliances with Russia and the Assad regime underscored Tehran's mastery of asymmetric warfare and its determination to reshape the Middle East to serve its own vision of regional dominance. For Iran, the battle for Palmyra was a reminder that in the unforgiving landscape of the Syrian conflict, survival was not enough. Dominance was the ultimate goal. Through its relentless and calculated intervention in Palmyra, the IRGC had not only safeguarded its corridor of control, but had also demonstrated that Iran's influence in Syria was now deeply entrenched, and that no force, whether ISIS or its regional adversaries, could stand in the way of Tehran's ambitions.